Welcome, guys, to the NBA live stream. We have 4 game slate to go over here. Kind of excited for this one. I think it's a good slate. Hopefully for me, it's been a rough last 3 or 4 days at least. I was hoping to get back into the winning track tonight. And if you guys are new to the stream, welcome. My name's EK. We'll take a look at what we know so far, review the Vegas odds. I'll go team by team, talk about the players I like, and then get to questions at the end. So. With the 76ers tonight, Joel Embiid is out. He's diagnosed with a meniscus tear. They said he's day-to-day. We'll see how long that keeps it out. How long that keeps him out. If the Wizards win tonight, I think that slate or that series could get a little bit interesting. Let's see. Raul Neto is starting for Davis Bertans. I think Raul Neto, we'll get to him, but I think he's actually an okay value play, close to min price. I think we had about 20, 25-ish minutes. So yeah. Let's see. So Westbrook, Neto, Beal, Rui, and Gafford starting for the Wizards. And same starters for the Knicks and Rose, Barrett, Bullock, Randall, and Taj Gibson. Okay, so let's go take a look at these Vegas odds. So Wizards and 76ers, the 229.5 over under. The 76ers are 6.5-point favorites. Hawks and Knicks, a 208 over under. The Knicks are 1.5-point favorites. Grizzlies and Jazz, a 224.5 over under. Jazz 9.5-point favorites. And Mavs, Clippers, a 217 over under. Clippers are 7-point favorites. Look at Swolt. Thanks, man. Yeah. No, I'm going to the gym right after this, so gonna need a stress reliever the way these NBA slates been going. So appreciate it, guys. All right, so. Let's talk about Wizards and 76ers here. Start off on the Wizards side. So Russell Westbrook, 11.4K, is nothing more than a contrarian play right now. I know he went for 70-plus fantasy points last game. Again, you got to take that with a little bit of grain of salt. He had Embiid get injured, who was like a big part of this 76ers defense. And then you had Ben Simmons getting foul trouble. So, I have a hard time getting to Westbrook in the slate. Not that I dislike Westbrook. It's just, what do you have to sacrifice to get him in there? So, taking all his pain in the ways. Exactly, man. But yeah, so that's kind of the issue I have with Westbrook. Just like, what do you have to sacrifice to get him in there? I think I like a little more the balanced build today. Now, Brad Beal fits, more of, he's at least a little more in play for me just because of the salary. He's $2,000 cheaper. Now, sure, he doesn't have as much upside as Russell Westbrook. He has a little bit of a lower floor, but I think that price point makes him more in play. Like, I would be more inclined to get to Brad Beal on the slate than I would to Russell Westbrook. And then value for the Wizards here, I actually like some value plays here. I do. Rui Hachimura, 4.8. He played 42 minutes last game. That was with Bertans going down with an injury. Now, will we get 42 again from Rui? Maybe not, but I think we probably get around 35 from him in a competitive game. I know it's not necessarily the best matchup, but he's below 5K and should play big minutes. So, by default, I think he's a pretty good value. And then Daniel Gafford is only at 4.7K. The price came up a little bit. The reason I like him a lot more now than I did the previous slate is because he doesn't have to deal with Joel Embiid. He's going to deal with Mike Scott most likely, and a little bit of Dwight Howard, but there's less foul trouble risk plus. So he played 26 minutes last game, and that was with him getting an early foul trouble in the first quarter, right? He picked up 2 quick ones. So maybe we would have gotten over 30 minutes from Gafford if he didn't get in foul trouble. And again, right now he is their best option at center. I think he's a really solid value. Don't mind some Ish Smith at 4.4. I think they could run the 3-guard lineup a decent amount. We know he's a good scorer. So yeah, fair value there with Ish. And then Raul Neto. Again, you're not going to get excited about playing Raul Neto. You never are. You never will be. It's Raul Neto. But he's close to min price. He's starting. There's no Davis Bertans. I think we get somewhere around 20 to 25 minutes. If you play him, really you're just hoping for him not to kill you, right? You're just like, please just give me 15 to 20 fantasy points. I'll be happy. That would be my mindset if I'm taking a shot on Neto today. And then, yeah, Robert Lopez played really well off the bench. That little hook shot, he just couldn't be stopped. I mean, if you want to go there larger field stuff, I don't hate it. I just think, again, Len, even though he only played 1 minute, he actually came in before Lopez. So, it could still be a 3-headed center rotation, and I would just, right now it seems like a majority of the minutes are going to a guy like Daniel Gafford. So that's where I'm at right now for the Wizards. Let's move on to the 76ers. Real quick, guys, if you're just coming in, hit that like button. We're at already about 200 viewers and 30 likes And try to hit 100 before the end of the show. It helped me out a ton. And again, I'll get to questions here at the end. So on the Philadelphia side, again, Joel Embiid is out. Pretty big news, right? Pretty big news. He's day to day. He's out for today. So with that being said, I think it's pretty obvious. But Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris look fantastic here. Ben Simmons got in foul trouble last game. As long as he stays out of foul trouble, he should play 35 plus minutes. This is a great matchup. I think he's a really good play at that price. And same with Tobias Harris, right? They're two of the better plays of the slate for sure. Without Embiid, that's just a massive boost. It's just a massive boost of these two. Plus, you got the great matchup. It really sets up for those two being two of the better plays of the slate for sure. Now, guys like Danny Green and Seth Curry both were popular last slate. Seth Curry was a bust. He actually played under 30 minutes. He didn't close. Danny Green did close. Should play about 30 minutes. The issue I have with Green is now he's almost 5K. Again, I think his role is pretty set in 3-and-D guy, about 30 minutes. But now it's to a price point where it's like, okay, if he has a bad shooting night and goes for like 14 fancy points, you're probably dead. So, he's not super cheap anymore, which I think makes him a little bit riskier because he's so reliant on the scoring. And Seth Curry, it's not the best sign that he only played 20 minutes last game in a close game. I know they closed with Maxey I saw was out there. I forget, but I know Seth Curry was not out there to close the game, which, is a little bit concerning for now, a guy almost priced to 5K. Again, he could still get there for sure. We know he's a good shooter, but the minutes right now, basically for the secondary guards for the 76ers are all over the place. Mike Scott, so he's going to start most likely at the 5. Do we have that news yet? We've seen it, historically when Embiid's out, they want to start Mike Scott for some reason. I don't see it yet, but yeah. So Mike Scott, I think, starts and plays somewhere around 20 to 25 minutes. Playable. I mean, he's not a good point per minute guy, but this is the Wizards. He can fall into some rebounds, maybe get a putback or two. So I don't hate the idea of going to a guy like Mike Scott. And then I got to talk about Dwight Howard. I think will be pretty popular. My guess is we get around 20 minutes from him, which I think makes him a pretty good value play. I do, because we know Dwight's a good point per minute guy. He should, again, play the backup 5, and this is a good matchup. So I think Dwight's a pretty solid value. There is, there's a little bit of variance, though, with the minutes. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if he plays less than 20. I wouldn't be shocked if he plays, like, maybe 25-ish. So there's a little bit of wiggle room, I think, with those minutes. But, yeah, Dwight, I think, I would guess around 20 minutes. I think that makes him a pretty solid value on the slate. Now, Max, again, he actually closed last game. He played 22 minutes. Before that last game, he hadn't played a ton so far in the series. We know, though, he's a decent point per minute guy. In the larger field tournaments, I think you could go to a guy like Maxey. And then George Hill at 3-3. Again, same thing I'll say about Rule Neto. You're not getting excited about George Hill, but I think we get about 20 minutes from him off the bench, which makes him a fair value. So, like, Hill, Neto, I think are, again, Spider-Man, Jeff, basically the same type of play on this slate. And yeah, that's where I'm at. Like, do I want to play min-price Matisse Thybulle? Not really. I don't really want to go there. So, all right, let's move on to Atlanta and New York. Probably my least favorite game to target here. On the Atlanta side, there's really not much I like. I think TRAE Young's probably my favorite play, but right now a little bit more of a contrarian option. He is not playing huge minutes. We should get about 35 from him, which is actually a lot less than a lot of the other stars on the slate. So TRAE Young is my favorite play in the Hawks, but still more of a secondary play. I'm passing on Capella. I'm passing on Collins. Bogdanovic is just a secondary play. If you landed him as the last piece in, sure. He'll probably get you around 30 to 35 fancy points. Let's see. DeAndre Hunter was the chalk in the higher dollar stuff last slate. He was an absolute massive bust. Again, of course, I had him in my lineup. I think we probably get about 30 to 35 minutes from him. He's a good defender. And this will probably be the game he goes off because I'm not going to play him. But yeah, price him up a little bit on him, and he's been pretty low usage guy so far in that offense. If you want to go to Gallinari in tournaments, I don't think it's the worst idea. 20 to 25 minutes is what I'm expecting. He can get hot. He's gone for 20 plus fantasy points the last 3 games. And that's really where I'm at. Like Kevin Huerter 4-3. I mean, I guess fair value. Like, you can make the argument for him in about 20 to 25 minutes. There's a lot of just, secondary value plays that you can, look to on the slate. Now, the Knicks side, it's Randall and Rose for me. I think Rose, probably point per dollar, I would say, is my favorite play in the Knicks. I still, he's no longer a must for me. He did come out pretty early in the fourth quarter there. So I think normally we get closer to the 40-minute mark. Obviously, this is a must-win game, so maybe he even plays a little bit more. The matchup's a little bit better on this side of the ball, so I think Derrick Rose is probably my favorite play here on the Knicks. Randall, if you want to get contrarian to GPPs as a spend-up, again, you can do it. It's a 4-game slate. Anything can happen. He had a big game last game. He's really been struggling shooting the ball. DeAndre Hunter's been playing good defense on him. They've, in general, just been trying to shut down Randall. So I think that makes more of a GPP-only play for me. With, like, the combination of Barrett, Burks, Bullock, like that trio, I think one of those guys probably has a decent game. But there are price points where it's like, doesn't really make sense to get one of those guys. I'll probably just stay away. Noel and Gibson should split the center minutes. I feel a little bit more comfortable with a guy like Gibson over Noel, but allergies. But yeah, I still don't think like we have to go there. Like, sure, if you land on Taj at 4-3, he'll play about 25-ish minutes. And quickly on top, and just dart throws in large field tournaments. You're really hoping for them to get hot in like 10 to 15 minutes that they play. All right, let's move on to Memphis and Utah. So on the Memphis side, John Morant, I think, is the guy I feel the best about because minutes, he's not dealing with foul trouble like Brooks and Jonas Valanciunas in this series, and the minutes are pretty secure for him. Must win, obviously. Should play 40-plus minutes. I think Ja's a pretty solid play, even though the matchup's not the best. JB, more of a secondary contrarian option. He's struggled so far in this series. And Gobert, again, is a really, really good defender. So not super excited about JB here. Real quick, Michael Varno with the $5 super chat. Thank you, man. No comment, but appreciate that a lot. And let me know if you have any questions. Again, I'll try to get to them at the end. If you have any questions right now, throw them in here. Again, appreciate the support, man. Thank you. Okay, so let's move on to Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks is always in foul trouble, right? If he can stay out of foul trouble, he should play 40-ish minutes. We know he's a good shooter. He's going to shoot the ball a good amount, right? He shot the ball. He's averaging like 20 shot attempts a game so far in the series. So, like, I think Dylan Brooks is playable in the mid-range. And if he can stay out of foul trouble, he's a guy that, can have some upside. Guys like Slow-Mo and Triple J, I'll probably stay away from in the slate. And then Grayson Allen, Desmond Bane, both are below 4K. I think we probably get around 25 minutes from Allen. Again, he has to hit his threes, but he is cheap enough where it's like, okay, I'm good with that. And then Desmond Bane, I think we get around 20 minutes from him. So with all that being said, I think Bane and Allen are playable value plays here. On the Utah side, so Donovan Mitchell, my favorite play here, and it's not close. I really, really liked me some Donovan Mitchell. The reason is he played 35 minutes. So, like, there doesn't look to be any more minutes restriction here for a guy like Mitchell. So, and the matchup is pretty solid here, too. So, sign me up for some Donovan Mitchell. I think he is one of the better plays of the slate. Really, really like me some Mitchell. Now, with that being said, I think a lot of people are going to go to Mitchell. So, Conley makes for an interesting contrarian play. He was the massive chalk bust last game, only playing 32 minutes and going for under 30 fancy points. But, and you got to kind of have that tournament mindset. So, sure, Mitchell's definitely the optimal play. But you know that, and most people are going to go to Mitchell if they're going to pick one of these guards. Conley should come in pretty low owned, like maybe even sub 10% owned. I don't think he's going to be popular at all. And the previous games in the series, he's done really well. Now, sure, a lot of those games where Mitchell is out or limited, but like I wouldn't be surprised if Conley still goes for 40 plus here at no ownership. So like for GPPs, I don't think it's the worst idea to go him, but optimal play wise is definitely Mitchell for me. And Gobert, I think is fine. Should play about 35 minutes. Can have some upside, but not really a priority play. There's a lot of good value at the center position tonight. Bojan, Clarkson, Ingles, kind of secondary plays for me. Again, you can take a shot on Bojan Bogdanovic and hope he hits his threes. Maybe super, super reliant on the scoring. I'm not going to go there. Royce O'Neal's now to a price where it's like, I don't really want to pay over 5K for Royce. All right, so let's finish up with Dallas and the LA Clippers. On the Dallas side, so of the two guys at the very top, we have Luka and Westbrook. If I'm going to spend all the way up for one of those two guys, I'd rather go to Luka. Would rather go to Luka over Westbrook, like the matchup better. Luka is just doing everything for this team. So if I am going all the way to the top, it's going to be Luka. But I still think optimal build-wise is a little bit more balanced, with those 7-8K range guys. So, Luka, I like him. It's just, again, what do you have to sacrifice to get him in? Should play 40 minutes. Obviously, he's dealing with shoulder, neck, kind of whatever it is, strain or, neck strain. Luka is my favorite, like, spend up over 10K, but I don't think it's a must on the slate. Porzingis is a shell of his former self. Maybe he turns it around, but I don't want to keep betting on Porzingis. I tried to roll the dice on him a couple slates ago, and that went absolutely awful. That was this game where he played 34 minutes and went for 20 fancy points, so it's just like, I'm taking the Michael Porter Jr. approach. I'm gonna, I can't target Porzingis right now. I need to see him get back to at least his somewhat normal self. Again, those pretty tilting though. When I finally hop off MPJ, he goes off. Just the way DFS has been going so far in the playoffs for me. But, all right, so secondary place here for Dallas, not much. Hardaway is playable. Again, he can have upside. Has to hit his threes, though. Does have a low floor if he's not hitting his shots. Dorian Finney-Smith, just a secondary value play. Maxi Kleber's fine. He's fine. He should play over 30 minutes. A lower usage guy, again, can hit some threes. I think I might have a slight preference to the Clippers value on the other side at a similar price. Brunson and Jay Rich, I think Brunson plays about 20 minutes off the bench. I think he's actually an interesting contrarian value play, a decent point per minute guy. Jay Rich, again, we probably get about 15 to 20 minutes from him. You could put him in the category of like Neto and George Hill, as in like, yes, they're playable, and if you play them, you really just got to hope they don't kill you. Now with the backup center, it's been Cauley-Stein besides that last game where he barely played and they actually went to Boban. I'm not sure if Boban plays again, but he played well when he was out there. We know Boban's a fantastic point per minute guy, so it's like, okay, if you want to go there in tournaments or in large field stuff, I don't think it's the worst idea, because if I knew Boban was going to play, let's just say if I knew Boban was going to play 15 minutes, like I would lock him into my lineup. He's that good of a point per minute guy, and in playoff slates, there's lack of value, so Boban, again, it's risky because if you play him, you got to know there's a chance he doesn't play. He gets a DNP. So you got to know that is a realistic chance of him just not playing at all. All right, let's finish up with the Clippers. Oh, Tori with the $10 super chat. Thank you, man. We appreciate it, man. Hey, Dicky, relax. You got this. You're going to bounce back. I had some lack of confidence. I appreciate that, man. Yeah. It's been, not the best so far, but hoping to bounce back for sure. All right, let's finish up with the Clippers. So Kawhi Leonard at 9.6K, I think looks like one of the better spin-ups of the slate. He's going to play about 40 minutes. He's been super, super consistent, and I still don't think this price is up there enough. He's gone for 50+ the last 4 games so far in this series. So, I like Kawhi a lot. I think he looks like, again, one of the better spin-ups of the slate. Now, Paul George, I think, will come in a little bit lower ownership. I think I would slightly prefer Kawhi to Paul George, but he still had some upside besides the last game. 55 and 46 recently in there for Paul George. Also should play big minutes. So like both Clipper stars, but give the edge to Kawhi over Paul George. And then the value here for the Clippers, actually do kind of like a lot of these guys. So they're going to run a pretty tight rotation. So Rondo, Reggie, Morris, Batum, I think are all solid values. Rondo, we should get about 25-ish minutes. A good point per minute guy, can fill up a stat sheet. Good defender too. I think he's decent. Reggie Jackson, he should play over 30 minutes. He's gone for about 25 the last 3 games. That's perfectly fine at 4.7. Marcus Morris, been a little bit up and down so far in the series with shooting the ball, but he should also play about 30 minutes. Fair value. And then Nick Batum played really well, went for 36 minutes and 28 fantasy points. A good defender, can hit some threes. So, yeah, I like all 4 of those Clippers value guys. I think they're all going to get some good run. With Reggie, Morris, and Batum, I expect, over 30 minutes from all 3. Rondo about 25, but he's a pretty solid point per minute guy. So secondary plays for the Clippers I'm pretty high on. Ibaka not expected to play. Zubac should, play a little bit. Depends on, do they bring Boban out there? Because when Boban played, Zubac came back in. So they kind of, I guess like if you're building a tournament lineup, I mentioned this in my video, but like if you're taking a shot on Boban, maybe you just plug him in with Zubac and just hope, both teams go to a bigger lineup for a little bit. But again, that's large field stuff, not like, not higher dollar single entry stuff. I wouldn't go there at all. It's too risky for me. Like I like getting a little bit contrarian, but that would be too contrarian for like my one build. And then Terrence Mann, I expect about 15-ish minutes, 15 to 20 minutes off the bench. He had a terrible game last game. I think that, recency bias will lower the ownership a little bit. Previous 2 games, 13, 18 fantasy points in 15 to 19 minutes. Again, 15 to 20 minutes is what I'm expecting from Mann. He's a guy that can stuff the stat sheet, so fair contrarian value play on this one. But yeah, like I would rather get to Batum, Morris, Reggie, Rondo for a little bit more than Terrence Mann if you have the salary. All right, guys. So that's kind of it for my breakdown. Let's see. Do we have any more news here? Let's see. Okay, we are still waiting on the 76ers starting lineup, right? I haven't seen that yet. Okay. So, yeah, throw some questions in the chat, guys. Again, if you're just coming in, if you could hit that like button, helps me out a lot. Again, thank you for the super chats as well, guys. And let's get to it. So, Dwight Howard and Nick Batum. That one's pretty close to me. I think Batum's a little bit safer. Like, we know Batum should play as long as there's no foul trouble about 35 minutes. Dwight, Minutes could kind of fluctuate with him. If he plays like 20 to 25 minutes, I think I would slightly prefer Dwight to Batum. But like Dwight's minutes they could go a little bit small too. So like that's my word, Dwight. So I think the safer option a little bit is a guy like Nick Batum over Dwight. And Tori, wow, another $10 super chat. Thank you so much. Okay, so let's see what we got. Ben Simmons, Grayson Allen, Kawhi Leonard, Tobias Harris, Gafford, Neto, Batum, and Mitchell. I like that a lot. Liking this a lot besides Grayson, Chalk. No, I think it's good. Like, you have to, if you're getting to those, 7 to 8K guys, which I all like a lot, you got to play one or two of those, cheap guys. So, you got Grayson and Neto. Sure, like, you're not going to feel amazing about either. But Grayson, I'm thinking we get about 25 minutes off the bench for him. And Neto, I think around 20, 25 minutes. So I like that a lot. I think it's a really good lineup. Ben Simmons, and pretty similar to kind of the approach that I'm taking as well. Ben Simmons and Morris or Donovan Mitchell and Gallinari. That's pretty close. I'll go the first one, but that is close. Dwight or Gafford? I think I feel a little bit more confident with Gafford's minutes if he can stay out of foul trouble. So both a good point per minute guys. I think Gafford could get close to 30 minutes, possibly if he can stay out of foul trouble. So I think I would just slightly prefer Gafford to Dwight. Utility 3.5K and below. Yeah, so you're at a range where it's like, that's the range where it's like, okay, the guys you play just gotta hope don't kill you. I don't know if I have a super strong take on guys in this range, but I think there's a few viable guys. So like you have Scott that should start at 5 and should play 20 to 25 minutes. You have Desmond Bane at about 20 minutes off the bench. Richardson maybe 15, and then like Hill, Neto. I guess it's probably Neto or Mike Scott because both should start. We know Neto is starting, and we know Mike Scott should start. So maybe just go with one of those two, cheap guys in the starting lineup and just hope they can get you 15 to 20 fantasy points. Because again, neither of those guys have a ton of upside. All right, let's see where we're at. Rui or Morris? I'll give the slight edge to Rui. I think he plays more. Westbrook and George Hill Neto or Beal and Dwight for showdown. Ooh, I'll go the first one actually for the showdown. Royce O'Neal or Batum? I'll go Batum. Yeah, I think Batum I like him a little bit better point per dollar. Right? He's a 4.3 as opposed to 5.1 for Royce. Ben Simmons and Derrick Rose or Ja and Bogdan for Atlanta. I'll go the first one there. Do you like Tyrese Maxey? I think he's an interesting tournament play. He did close the game last game, but his minutes have been a little bit not great, I guess. 7, 14, 11. In close games, he wasn't playing a ton until that last game where Ben Simmons was in foul trouble. So, I don't think his role is secure. He did play well, so maybe Doc Rivers gives him more run. But I think there is risk. I also think there's a chance he plays 10 minutes, and then you're probably in rough shape. So wouldn't go there in a cash game setting, but I do think he's a solid tournament play. I wouldn't go to Pat Patterson, no. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he's played, right? You're talking about Pat Patterson? Yeah, he hasn't played so far in the series. Best value play, what range are you looking in for value? If we're talking this, low to mid 4K range, there's actually a decent amount I like. Again, I told you guys I'm pretty high on the Clippers value. I like those guys we all went over. And then I think those Wizards guys too with Gafford, Rui look pretty solid. So that's kind of where I'm looking at for value right now. Also Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard looks pretty good too. So in the low to mid 4K range, there's actually a decent amount of plays I like today. But again, Batum versus Dwight, I think it's close. I think Batum is the safer play. Dwight, if I knew he was going to play 25 minutes tonight, I would probably play him over Batum. But I think there's also a chance Dwight could get limited to maybe 15 to 16 minutes. That's a possibility. So I think more often than not, though, Dwight gets around 20 minutes, which 20 minutes out of Dwight versus close to 40 minutes or 35-ish, we'll say, out of Batum. I think it's really close. I think Batum would be the slightly safer play, though. Ingles in play, I'm probably not going to go there now. Ben Simmons, Reggie, THJ, Harris, Gafford, Mitchell, Slow-Mo, Howard. Yeah, again, I don't love guys like Slow-Mo and THJ. I just don't like playing score-independent guys that are, a little more expensive, like a guy Tim Hardaway Jr. Not saying the upside can't be there because it can. And then Slow-Mo is just more of a secondary play for me. I don't think we have to go there in this one. Simmons and Harris in the same lineup, I'm good with it. Yeah, I think you can definitely do that. Reggie Jackson, Mitchell, Seth Curry, Kawhi, Rui, Tobias, Gafford, and Taj. All right, yeah. You got a lot of plays I like in there. So Let's see. Conley, Neto, Kawhi, Tobias, Gafford, Simmons, Rui, Howard. Thoughts? Yeah, so that's a lineup I originally had. It's pretty similar to mine. Yeah, Conley's the one guy that'll be low owned there, but like you have a pretty chalky lineup besides that. So like for tournaments, I think that's a pretty good build. That's normally my approach, right, for GPPs is I usually will build a close to an optimal lineup or somewhat close, and maybe get different in one or two spots. I think that lineup kind of fits it perfectly, right? So yeah, I like it. Mitchell, Dwight, or Ja and Brunson. I'll go Mitchell and Dwight there. Westbrook, Neto, Kawhi, Batum, Gafford, Mitchell, Allen, and Dwight. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's obviously a little bit, you're sacrificing a lot to get Westbrook in there. I definitely think it's suboptimal. Now, could it work out? Sure. Westbrook can definitely go for 70 again. Again, there's no Embiid, so that is a decent boost to Westbrook getting into the paint. I just think it's a little bit suboptimal to play Westbrook on this slate. 4K utility. All right, so at the 4K flat, okay, so you have a couple guys that are out. It's probably Grayson Allen, and it's just because the minutes. I don't like playing score-independent guys, but, you know, 30, 29 minutes the last couple of games. I think you just roll the dice on Grayson Allen. Power forward under 5.3. All right, let's take a look there. 5.3 and power forward. I think I would go Rui Hachimura. Best value center. So for me, it is... Well, you can... Rui is technically a value center, so I'd say Rui, Gafford, and Dwight are my three favorite. I think Dwight is probably the riskiest of the bunch. I actually think Rui is the safest because Gafford still has foul trouble risk. So, like, safety-wise is probably Rui, Gafford, Dwight. Upside-wise, I think it's probably maybe Gafford, Dwight, Rui. But, yeah, I mean, I think those are the three guys I'm looking to for value centers. Rui, Neto, Gafford too much. I think it's fine. I think you can actually do it. That the first game and the last game are my favorite games to target on the slate. Mike Scott or George Hill. I mean, that's close to a toss-up for me. It really is. We'll see. Again, I'm assuming Mike Scott starts. I mean, I honestly don't have a strong take. I really, if I had a take, I would say I think that's basically 50-50. Are you playing to Kawhi? Right now, I'm leaning towards trying to get Kawhi in. Yeah, Scott, Reggie, or Gafford and Neto. So Mike Scott and Reggie or Gafford. I like the Gafford Neto one a little bit more, I think. Any thoughts on facing elimination, likely to play a couple extra minutes as Russ, Ja, etc.? Yeah, I think it's certainly doable, or certainly it makes sense. But I also think, like, you know, the Clippers-Mavericks game is so important, right? It's 2-2. So in a close game, we might see a few extra minutes from those guys too. So it's like a lot of team, and like with the Knicks, right? They're what you saying, like they're facing elimination. They might play a couple more minutes, but like they're still like basically every game so far on the slate is pretty important. So I'm not gonna like start going crazy and just targeting all the Grizzlies and all the Knicks because they're facing elimination. Rose and Ish or Maxey and Simmons. So I think the first one is a lot safer because Maxey's role, he still could get pretty limited minutes, but I think the second one has more upside, actually. If things go right for Maxey and he plays close to 20 minutes again, I just don't think those minutes are necessarily secure. All right, guys, we're winding down. We got to almost 90 likes. I think we hit close to 300 concurrent viewers. So appreciate all support, as always, guys. Really, really do. Simmons or Ja? It's Ben Simmons for me. Favorite utility under 3.5K besides Neto? Yes, okay, so utility under 3.5K besides Neto. I'll answer a couple more questions here, and then I will call it. It's either George Hill or Mike Scott, I think. And again, someone just asked me that. I really don't have a strong take. I think George Hill gets about 20 minutes off the bench, and Mike Scott should start and probably play about 20 to 25 minutes. So one of those two. I don't have a take on which one I prefer. Rose or Conley? That's a pretty close one for me. I think maybe a small lean to Rose, but that's pretty close. Is it okay to play Simmons and Harris in the same lineup? Yes. I think that's going to be optimal, actually. Any Danny Green love? A little pricey, not out of play. He's almost a 5K, though, so if he has a bad shooting game, he could have a decently low floor. So more of a tournament play for me because of that. Thoughts on Grayson Allen? Also, I think is a solid value. Should play about 25 minutes and is reliant on scoring and is a little bit cheaper. All right, guys. So that is going to do it for me. Again, appreciate you guys coming to check out the live stream. Appreciate all you guys that hit the like button. Again, it helps me out more than you know. And thank you for the super chats as well. Tori, especially with $20. Super generous of you. And good luck to you guys all. I'll be back here tomorrow. I think we got 3 games. 3 games, I'm pretty sure. Video will be up later tonight, and then live stream is always tomorrow. So good luck, guys. Let's make some money. I'll see you back here tomorrow.